This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
Welcome into ATL Day Ones. I am Tenitra Batiste, and that is my special guest, the legendary Sam Crenshaw, sports reporter, sports anchor, sports analyst, sports play-by-play guy for all entities you could ever think of. He is true to Atlanta. And why do I say it that way? Because, man, listen, we have a lot to talk about as it relates to a team that is Atlanta and has been true to their word, Sam, about exactly what they were going to do in this offseason to get better. But first, I want to thank our faithful audience for getting us over the hump of 2,000 subscribers here on our Locked On Sports Atlanta network. Appreciate you guys for continuing to subscribe on YouTube, for giving us likes and follows, and of course, for downloading us wherever you get your podcast, and continue giving us 5-star reviews when we bring you 5-star guest hosts like this. And of course, our guy Jarvis will be back on the other side of next week. But boy, do Sam and I have a lot to get into. So just want to let you guys know that we are going to deep dive into the Hawks and talk a little bit about a couple of more moves they made. We've been saying all week on this platform, as well as with Sam on other platforms, that we didn't think the Hawks were finished with DeJounte Murray, and they have been doing some things here this Friday. Also, with the Braves, well, they had some history making that could have happened, but didn't quite take place. But that's okay, because we think the Braves are still all good. And someone else who's all good that we are going to talk about in For the Culture is one Coco Gauff. So let's get right into it. And let's talk a little bit about those Braves, Sam. Not the best night for the Braves in wrapping up the series finale in Philly on Thursday. Of course, they were hoping for the sweep, especially against a division rival, with them chomping away and biting away at the Mets' lead in the NL East. Didn't quite get that done. Could have been a historic night as well, because they were tied at 21-5 for the best record for a Brave squad in a calendar month in the Atlanta era for the franchise. Of course, didn't quite happen. A 14-4 outcome, because things just did not look quite right for Ian Anderson last night.
And he's had some of that going on with him, Tenitra. I'm not sure why. He's a guy that we expected when the team broke camp, that he was going to be one of those reliable starters. We've seen him do great things, especially in the postseason.
Yes.
But he gave up 7 runs and was gone in the second inning. Just 2 innings last night. They got off to a big lead, and I'm like, it's one of those games, just a clunker. I mean, guess you're overdue for one of those. But you know what? You're not going to throw out what the team did throughout the month of June. Just think back to where we were on Memorial Day, and how far we were looking up to the Mets. When it was like, it's Memorial Day, and we got a lot of making up to do. And this team goes out and catches on fire and just rolls out and just plays phenomenal baseball. Now, I just want to see them try to maintain some of that. Are they going to win 21 games in July? Probably not. But you know what? Let's go out and see if we can maintain and take 2 out of 3. They leave Philadelphia with a loss, but they got 2 out of 3.
Yeah. And listen, that's what baseball is about at the end of the day. Rarely are you going to see a sweep, but if you can get a series win, that's always good. Also good to get the series win against your division rival, because at least you're now just 3.5 games back of the Mets, as opposed to where you could have been. So that's good heading into the series against the Reds this weekend. And also, it's like you said, Sam, I'll use your word perfectly, because that's what it was, a clunker. And it happens in baseball from time to time. We know that we see it. And you can't also, like you said, throw out all the progress that the Braves were able to make in June. I got to tell you, when Memorial Day weekend hit, I was looking forward to June, because I knew low-key that the Braves had a more favorable schedule than the Mets, but you still have to play those games, and you still have to win against the bad teams and battle against the good, and that's exactly what the Braves did. But I also want to go back to a point that you just made that I think is important, and that's about Ian Anderson. But before we make that point, before I do that, I want to talk to our audience a little bit about betonline.net. It is the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. And right about now, Sam, the feverish pitch is about betting on Kevin Durant and where in the world KD is going to land. So if you want to do that and you want to find out all of the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including what's going on in the NBA as well as Major League Baseball, that's the place to go. It's a source for sport wagering information, including live betting, esports scores. They remain the best spot for all the information. So you don't have to go Googling this site and that site. Just go to betonline.net and it'll give you everything that you need. It's fast, it's easy. You can check on even your favorite sports and events that you want to check out, MMA, boxing, or golf, or you'll find out a little bit later one of Sam's favorite passions, and that is tennis. So head to the website today. Use your mobile device to learn more about trends and action. It's Bet Online, where the game starts and where things have kind of started and stopped for Ian Anderson these days is winning. You mentioned it, 7 runs in just 2 innings, 16.5 runs given up in his last 2 outings. And Sam, I'm kind of starting to wonder, just like we saw with some of the other pitchers or even in Eddie Rosario, I'm starting to really wonder whether or not this is more about the mental, the physical, or maybe a little bit of both with Ian Anderson.
Maybe there's a little bit of that. There was some physical things last season, of course, obviously. And, you talk about there was a shortened spring training, not the usual spring training we get. So we kind of expected some people to get off to maybe slow starts. We a few starts in, though. He's had some starts in now. We're into June. We're now into July. He's had some time to go out and really show. And you wonder if a visit to Gwinnett might be in order. To
Yes,
go
I was
there to
thinking
make
that.
1 or 2 starts just to work on
Mhm.
mechanics and just rebuild some confidence because you
Yes.
know what he's capable of doing. You're
Oh,
about to
yeah.
hit the All-Star break. You want him for
Hmm.
the back half of your schedule when you're going to be playing more division, more games against the Mets. And so you
Hmm.
want him to be one of your starters to come in. Meanwhile, who feels in that spot? Spencer Strider has showed us quite
Yes.
a bit that he can do, and think that's great. There's some guys down at
Hmm.
Gwinnett who want a chance to come up and give it a try. And so we're seeing also there's the possibility of the return of Mike Soroka also as
Yes.
well. So what are you going to do with him?
Hmm.
Nice decisions for Brian Snitker to have to make. And you're really
Yes.
not going out making trades. You're just getting your own
No.
people healthy and ready
Yes.
to perform at their best level.
And speaking of getting your own people healthy, that was one of the brighter spots that we heard about Thursday. Ronald Acuna Jr. back traveling with the team after he'd been getting treatment. The last couple of games, he was out dealing with that foot injury after getting hit by the foul ball. He is expected to play tonight, so we hope, or at some point in the series this weekend against the Reds, so we definitely hope for that. And exciting news, of course, to know that he is a lock. He is an automatic lock after first balloting for the All
Yep.
Star game. So always good to end on that note. And of course, exciting to see that the Reds are going to have to face Max Fried on the mound tonight in this game, one of this weekend series before the Braves make it back to Truist Park. And speaking of things that make us excited, I know both of us support and are watching and reporting on the Dream, and they'd had just a little bit of a swoon, a 3-game losing streak. And then
Right.
they get one of their best players, one of their veterans, and a stalwart for the Dream, Tiffany Hayes. They get tipped back. She'd been out and missed the first 19 games of the season. And man, Sam, she came back with a vengeance last night. And it was good because just a week ago, the Dream lost a tough one to the Liberty. So to see a Tip come back and have 21 points, it was a game high. Game into overtime, but that leads them to the win, the 92-81 overtime win that stops that losing streak. That was exciting and good stuff for the Dream as they're moving to the All-Star break as well.
She's been chomping at the bit because
Oh,
especially with the start team got off to an incredible start, and for her to
yeah.
sit there and not be able to be a part of it had to be very tough. Then to see the team go through some struggles, some injuries, some people hit some rough spots during the schedule.
Mhm.
She wanted to be that galvanizing factor to come in and be a part of it, and I think that's what she can be for this team. I still say this team is one of the best. We have a lot of stuff happening in town this summer. We got the
Oh, yeah.
Braves, we got Atlanta United, but I still think Atlanta Dream, the second half after the All-Star break, they're going to be so much fun to watch. A team that only won 8 games last season.
Yeah. And for me, I would agree with you on that one because, again, you're talking about the team not even, well, we're kind of right at the halfway mark, and already they have bested their record from last year. So, yeah, you love to see it. What you hope to see is United getting back on track. Another tough one. The exciting thing is, Sam, they finally scored a goal in New York City at Red Bull Arena. That's the good news. But the bad news is they still haven't won a match there. They lost 2-1 in a tough one last night because it was a late goal for them. 75th minute, Joseph Martinez strikes. But then, unfortunately, they give up 2 goals in the end. And it is really difficult to see that United just are having maybe more so mental breakdowns than anything and just can't get back on track.
and at the wrong time. The timing of the breakdowns. I mean, they played well last night, and that place, Red Bull Arena, has been like the Temple of Doom for the Five
Yeah.
Stripes. I mean, it really has been. It's been something always goes wrong in that place, and they played a great match with them, considering all
Hmm.
the injuries, considering the people who've had to fill in the
Yeah.
gaps and take on different roles with the team this course of the season. Still a lot of talent on this team. It's a very
Hmm.
talented team, in spite of the people that some have been lost for the season and been out for a period of time. They get the goal. Joseph Martinez scores the goal. We're up 1-0. Okay, you get
Hmm.
one on a penalty, and now you're all tied. Just
Right.
hang on and at
Just
least
saying,
leave with a point.
yes,
Just leave
yes.
with the point if you can. And it didn't happen. And, I've heard Gonzalo Pineda speak after a lot of the matches, after they had some
Hmm.
disappointing losses. Last night, he actually used the term heartbreak. And I
Yes.
hadn't heard him use that word before. This one
Hmm.
really got to him. And so
Yeah.
you got to do a quick turnaround, because now
Yeah.
you got to go across town and play at Yankee Stadium, and we know what a terrible place that has been to try to play
Yeah.
in that different kind of pitch on that baseball field.
Hmm.
But they have to go there and try to establish something out of these three road games. Tanitra, I
Yeah.
figured these three games were going to be an acid test for this team. They
True.
come at quite a time right as you approach your midseason, but you wanted
Hmm.
to see them do well. Toronto seemed to be the one that they really should have won. They
Yeah.
didn't get the win there. You knew Red Bulls was going to be tough, and you know Sundays
Hmm.
is going to be difficult. Nevertheless, if they can find a way to pull one off and finish up these three
Yeah.
road games with a win, that would be a great way to come back home.
Yeah, and like you said, at this point, of course, you'd love 3 points, but at a minimum, walk away with a point. If nothing else, just for your mental to feel like you're still in this, and hopefully getting players back like Thiago Almada will help in the opportunity to get a result on Sunday when they take on NYCFC. So when we come back, guys, we will talk about another team in this town that is looking to improve on where they were closing out last season. And man, are they making some serious moves that all look like the right moves. And when Sam and I come back, we'll talk about whether or not one more move is going to be the ultimate move that could get them over the top. It is ATL Day Ones. I'm Tanitra. That is Sam Crenshaw, and we'll see you on the other side.